sure do need them. Yes, we do. We need strategies. We need strategies for living, that is.
Don't we all?
Yes, we do. Are you ready? Are you ready for your daily dose of radio rehab?
I'm ready.
Well, good.
I'm pretty ready.
Welcome into 101.7 FM and 710 Keel and Strategies for Living. I'm Dr. David McMillan, and she is psychotherapist, PLPC, Lauren Leon McMillan. We've had an interesting few days, have we not?
Yes, we have. You know, I was just thinking that it's interesting
Yeah?
how on our first Freewheeling Friday,
Yeah?
among the things we talked about was this chaotic energy that was going on in the world. Do you remember that?
I remember. I remember very well.
So yeah, it's still going. It's still going strong.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And I hope everybody's hanging in as well as they can.
Well, you know, one of the questions that we want to look at is, have we become such an adversarial culture where competition and winning at all cost, are so rampant, have become so rampant in life that we don't even realize the degree to which they are there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In other words, it's kind of the water in which we've been swimming.
Yeah. I mean, you know, our television personalities, our radio personalities, many of our news sources, certainly the social media that gets passed around. I mean, there's toxins that actually adversely affect us everywhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
not to mention the actual environmental ones, right?
yeah, if that's not bad
Chemical
enough.
yeah.
But here's the deal. Words matter. Words matter. Words have power.
I love that. Literally, and we can talk about this later, but words matter.
Yeah. And
Literally.
Literally.
That needs to be digested later, but
Well,
just as
to set the stage, yeah. We know what matter is.
Yes.
Matter is form.
And words, which is energy,
Yep.
matters.
Matter.
It becomes matter.
And so,
That's the power.
yeah, and man, do we need to be reminded of that today?
Yeah.
It's going to be tough with everything that is going on in the midst of a contentious election. And with the attempted assassination attempt Saturday, I mean, there's a pause, a timeout, if you will. But I fear not a very long one. And, the question is, are we going to sustain it? If we are, our words matter.
Yes, they do.
And we'll talk about that this evening here on Strategies for Living. Folks, thank you for tuning in. Strategies is presented by the Robinson Film Center, by Azalea Cleaners, by Pintail Roofing, by Learning RX, by Hempress Cannabis with Love, and by the Shreveport Little Theater. Words matter. We're talking about that today and more here on Strategies. Come back with us. Hey, let's talk about the Robinson Film Center, 617 Texas Street, downtown Shreveport. How many times do I say there is no place like Robinson Film Center?
You don't say it enough.
Well, no, I probably don't. And there is no place like the Robinson Film Center. I mean, where do you go to see current movies that you're not going to see anyplace else? Well, Robinson Film Center. Find out what's showing at robinsonfilmcenter.org. And then you've got Abby Singer's Bistro, right? Full-service bistro and bar, second floor of the Robinson.
That's what I can't get enough of.
Oh, man. So, here's what you want to do. You want to join the crowd, join the fun, become a member. You get discounts on movies, you get concession upgrades, you get bistro deals. RFC, 617 Texas Street, downtown Shreveport. RobinsonFilmCenter.org.
Reading begins not in the classroom, but in your child's brain. I'm Dawnisa Walker with Learning RX Shreveport. If your child struggles to read, Maybe he or she has trouble focusing or comprehending. Learning RX Shreveport offers a science solution to reading problems, working one-on-one with your child, targeting his or her reading skills. Today, call Learning RX Shreveport. Make an appointment to have your child assessed. I know you want to help your child. So does Learning RX Shreveport.
Welcome into 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Welcome into Strategies for Living. PLPC, Lauren Leon McMillan, David McMillan. We're glad you're here with us. You know, we kind of expect this. We've come to expect it.
What's that?
The contentious words from our politicians. Let me quote. This goes back to January the 12th, 2011. That's a while back.
Okay, yeah.
Barack Obama was president. And he said, at a time when our discourse has become so sharply polarized, at a time when we are far too eager to lay the blame for all that ails the world at the feet of those who think differently than we do, it's important for us to pause for a moment and make sure that we're talking with each other in a way that heals, not a way that wounds.
Right. I mean, because at the heart of it, when I hurt you, when I hurt my fellow man, I hurt myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the place, you know, I realize it might take us a while.
It's going to be an uphill battle, to be realistic about it.
But that's my goal. Yeah. That's the sights that I'm placing for all of us to remember that when you hurt someone else, you're hurting yourself.
Yeah.
Because we are all one.
Yeah. You know, and we expect something different from our religions out there, the world's religions. And certainly the world's religions point us oftentimes to healing words, don't they?
Sure.
And they offer practices that hopefully can help us get beyond fighting, adversarial fighting, and fear and hatred and paranoia and dirty tricks. Hopefully they show us how we can be spiritually literate and civil in these contentious times.
You know what's interesting to me is most every religion in some form or fashion starts with the sound. I mean, in Christianity, in the Bible, it starts with, in the beginning was the Word.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And in every single many other ancient text, it says some form. It might not say word, but there was a magnificent sound of creation.
Right.
Or a tone or a vibration. And so to me, that speaks first and foremost to the power of words.
Right.
Because, you know, if we speak directly to the Bible, it says word. In the beginning was the Word, right? But even in the context of these other religions, which put the sound and the vibration or the tone at the very beginning, I mean, that initiates creation.
Right.
And what is word? What is our voice? But sound and tone and vibration and energy.
Yeah, right. But when we stop and think about, Lauren, and this is something I think we all need to take a step back and realize. I mean, we look to religions, and yet Krista Tippett, she wrote a book called Speaking of Faith, Why Religion Matters and How to Talk About It. And she says, and I'm quoting, "We have had few models in our public life for religious speech that does not proselytize, exclude, or offend." So...
Which, to me, is not true religious teaching.
Okay, but that's the reality. And spiritual. that's why we have such an uphill battle. You know, we can all look and say, you know, back the quote from Barack Obama that I quoted, he said back in 2011, that's 13 years ago.
Right.
So this is not new
No.
happening in our politics. Been going on both sides, been brewing, and even when one side or the other says we've got to do different, we've got to do better, in some ways...
do as I say, not as I do, right?
Yeah, in some ways we're meaning you've got to do better, but I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. And, we've got to realize that, again, our religious traditions need to be offering us something different, but with all of the I'm right, you're wrong, my God's bigger than your God, my God's better than your God. Is that what we're doing? But both Christians and Buddhists and more talk about practices to restrain the tongue, to renounce hurtful speech, and eschew judgmental thinking. And they also emphasize ways of speaking from the heart and lifting the spirits of others through speech which is sacred. What do I mean by that? It's speech that's characterized with kindness, love, openness, humility, and reverence.
Well, and to be sacred means to make whole.
Yeah.
And therefore, if you're speaking words from a sacred place, that means you are recognizing the wholeness.
Right.
That we are all whole. We are each whole within ourselves, and together we are a whole.
Yep.
We are one.
Yep. And we forget that. It's easy to forget that.
Sure. Yeah, because we appear to be in separate bodies.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And again, I use that lightly.
Yeah.
Appear.
Because
light. The way our eyes work, it's just perceiving light bouncing off of energy, right? And I put it together into an image, and I call your body a form. And I call my body a form.
Right.
And yet, who's to say on the atomic level we aren't all just one big soup, right? I mean, where are the true boundaries?
Yeah.
We say skin, and yet skin is but a collection of living, moving, breathing cells,
right,
which are a collection of atoms and a collection of subatomic particles, and who knows what after that.
And, the more esoteric healers.
Yes, that's how that works.
Teach us that there's a physical body.
Right.
But there are multiple other bodies that if we have the ability, if we tune in and we can see there's multiple other energy bodies around us. And, we've known that going back
for thousands of years.
Why do you think we... in the saints within the Christian tradition,
they get a halo.
Jesus et al., right? Why do we put a halo around them? Because it's a representation of their spiritual body.
The visible light.
That is the visible light that we know is there.
Yeah.
We know is there. So words. I love Thich Nhat Hanh, who was a Buddhist monk.
Yes.
Right? So he says, be mindful about every word that we speak to another person. If we use language that does not hurt people, but that affirms people, we'll lead people to greater peace, happiness, hope, and consolation. But if we use the language of violence and fear, we speed up the culture's downward spiral. And that was actually written by John Deere in a Christian book called Mary of Nazareth, Prophet of Peace.
So just to kind of drift aside from the religious spirituality aspect, one of my favorite classes that I took at Centenary during my college years was called The Brain and Language.
Yep.
And one of the most impactful, that was an incredible course, but one of the most impactful lessons we had was about this very thing, the power of words. And one of the examples that was demonstrated in class was the power of metaphors.
Right.
And, one example is the war on drugs.
Right.
When you present an idea as a war on drugs,
it's a fight.
it becomes a battle. And what happens? How do we then, everything else under that problem, under the solution that we're calling a war on drugs, becomes, well, there are then prisoners of war, right?
Right.
And there are enemies, and we respond with violence, because that's what a war is about. It's me against you.
Yeah. Kill or be killed.
Right.
Right.
And the power of, what if that had completely been reframed?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it was some sort of aim at rehabilitation, right? A rehabilitation of humanity.
Right.
Rather than a war on drugs. What if it became a rehab of humanity?
Mm-hmm.
Or, some other metaphor. But that's the power of it, right?
Right. Right. And we get, in a sense, stuck in our metaphor.
We get locked,
We get locked into our metaphor.
That is how words matter. That is how they become real.
So matter, words matter. We're playing with the words here.
It's all a play on words. That's the point.
Yeah, words matter. But the fact of the matter is that, again, go back to what our Christian, Judeo-Christian tradition teaches. In the beginning was the Word.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, even in psychology, we talk about the order of things, right? We go from thought to word to deed. That's another idea that we can explore.
We are we're talking about the power of words today here on Strategies for Living, and we're talking about the fact that words do matter. When we come back, we're the fact of the matter is we don't agree on everything.
No.
There's a lot of disagreement. What do we do with that? That's part of words too. That's part of making words matter. How do we get our we're not going to put down, our opinion. Opinions are important.
Absolutely.
And they drive a lot of how we create the world around us. And so how do we navigate that as we talk about words mattering today here on Strategies for Living? Don't go away. Stay with us. Much more to learn, more to talk about, more to come, because words matter. It's been going on for 101 years now. I'm talking about the Shreveport Little Theater. Been enriching our lives through the performing arts and education and opportunities to volunteer service guided by professional artists. They've been at it a long time. And up next, beautiful, the Carole King musical is the summer musical this year. And have you seen the 24-25 season? My goodness. Neil Simon's Brighton Beach memoirs, Steel Magnolias, It's a Wonderful Life, Doubt, I Love You, You're Perfect Now, Change, and then May We All, a new country musical. You need to get your season tickets right now. ShreveportLittleTheater.com. It is American theater at its best at 812 Margaret Place in Shreveport. Shreveport Little Theater. ShreveportLittleTheater.com. And welcome back. Welcome back into Strategies for Living here on 101.7 FM and 710 Keel. Lauren Leon McMillan, David McMillan, talking about words. Words matter.
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
Quite literally.
So let me give you a quote.
Okay.
This is from a book called Everyday Grace. And Marianne Williamson here is talking about mystics. Now, in this line of thought, everybody's called to be a mystic.
Sure.
Because again,
in the terms that we are all spirit.
We're all spirit within. And again, there was a teacher that walked the earth a couple of thousand years ago that said over and over and over, the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of God, interchangeable terms, is within you. Not up there, and I'm kind of
you're riffing.
I'm riffing now a bit, but
You're
not up
riffing
there,
off
not
Jesus.
over there, but in you.
Yes.
Okay, so
Gotcha.
the mystic doesn't seek to avoid disagreement so much as to infuse it with grace. A disagreement is a cut on the skin. You need to treat it gently and not cut further. So it should be when we see things differently, that the gentleness of spirit guides our speech. Emotional havoc usually comes not from the issues that divide us so much as from the things we say and do because of the issues that divide us. Indeed, it's often fairly simple things that we disagree about. Learning how to disagree with love is an important skill on the mystical path. Now,
I think it's an important skill, period.
Yeah, most definitely. But the fact of the matter is, we're all called to go within.
Right.
So we're all called to be mystics.
Yeah, and she made so many excellent points there. And one thing that comes to mind in hearing that quote is the idea of the meaning behind words. And that I think so many times our disagreements could be easily resolved by really talking to each other about what we mean in our own words. And what I mean by that is, when I say this is fun or something is fun, right? Even that simple word that we all use so frequently, to me, can mean something very different than to you.
You're exactly right. Different people define fun in very different ways.
Yes.
And what's fun to John may be absolute hell to Mary.
Right.
And vice versa.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
As long as we're not hurting each other, right?
Right.
And that was a really simple example of how that can happen. But when people...
As an example, fun to me is a couple of hours, going through the library, or a couple of hours at the book sale, Centenary's book sale coming up, or a couple of hours at the library. Now, you and I know people that would be
right.
That would
what?
be what?
Yeah.
Say what?
Right.
Okay,
which is cool.
And that is cool. and who's to say? And that's one of the things that we have to realize here, that we are trying to over-define. And you're taking the example, a simple example, like
very
fun.
simple. That's why
Very
I wanted
simple.
to use it. Yeah.
And we don't get to define. I don't get to define what is fun for you,
Right.
or what's fun for Mary, or what's fun for John. I just get to define what's fun for me.
Right.
I'm out of bounds when I begin to go into, well, I think this is fun, so it should be fun for you.
That's where you've crossed
And I don't
over.
understand you. How could you possibly not have fun at Barnes & Noble or the Centenary book sale or at the library? Right. How could you possibly? And in fact, I'm going to double down. We're not just going to spend 2 hours. We're going to spend 4 hours.
Because you need to.
Because you really,
believe
you
what I
really
believe.
need to believe what I believe.
Did you catch that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, isn't that
And that,
akin to what we have done?
yeah, it is. And that's to me, that's the boundary between preference, when preference becomes judgment.
Right.
Preference says, yeah, I totally think going to the library is fun. Judgment says, if you don't think going to the library is fun,
Something's wrong with you.
right, then
Yeah.
you're not right.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, we're all different people, and we wouldn't all be here at the same time if we didn't each have a unique set of qualities and energy about us, which made us all whole in totality, meaning we're all going to be very different.
Yeah.
And we're all going to have very differing experiences.
Yeah.
And that's part of life
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
and the magic.
if we take the time, first and foremost, to decide for ourselves what it is that I want, what's most important to me. If it's peace and love, then that's going to define my behavior.
Yes.
So many of us, I think, haven't done that basic thing. Defining for ourselves, what is my prime?
What do I value?
Yeah, what is my prime value? What do what do I want
What do I
to
want to cultivate?
lead?
What do
Yes.
I want to create in the world?
Yes. Yes.
And then from there, once you figure out what it is you want to create, whether that's music, whether that's fun, whether that's excitement, whether that's a party, whatever it is, whatever
Right.
energy you want to create, then you become it.
Yes. You
That-
embody
You
it.
embody it. You bring it in and you create it. And that's the process, right? Thought, word, action.
Yep.
And so word is that important middle part where you begin really using your words. They don't call it spelling by accident. I don't think. I really don't.
And when you look at where did we come up with words? Why did words come into the meaning? How did the meaning develop?
Right.
I think you're exactly right.
And what's interesting? The word abracadabra, by the way,
Yeah.
comes from Aramaic, I think. Anyway, it comes from the language, and it means as I speak, so it is.
Mm-hmm.
As I speak, the words I use,
Yep.
so it becomes.
Right.
Words matter. Words become matter.
Yep.
And so we talk about this even within the realm of counseling and psychotherapy, right? What words are you using? What words are you telling yourself? And then the world. What
Right.
words are you using? How are you speaking to yourself in the world?
Right.
Because that is what creates your world.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. It's only one letter off, by the way.
What do you mean?
Word and world. Okay?
Yeah.
And so when you find yourself stuck on or down on the world, rather,
Yeah.
I'm going to suggest that you get the L out. Okay? Get the L out
Get the L out. Yeah.
and
and look at
really
word.
evaluate
Yeah.
what word you are building your world upon.
Oh, that is so rich, Lauren. Yeah.
I can't take full credit for that. I got that.
You kind of got that
I kind of got
downloaded
that.
to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've shared bits and pieces of your quote unquote downloads, but we hadn't talked a whole lot about, how those come to be.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as time goes on, we'll talk more about that.
Sure. Absolutely. Love
But
to.
I love that. You got to get
so when you-
world and world. That's so neat to think about.
Right.
Word and world, just one letter off.
I mean, it's literally the foundation
yeah.
of the world.
Yeah.
Word is.
Yeah.
The word.
And that just underscores what we're talking about today. The power, I know that there's some people, I realize this.
Mm-hmm.
There are some people out there that are listening to us saying what? Or saying, what the heck are they talking about?
What words are they using? Yeah.
Yeah. And, and again, I realize what we're talking about is not a simple thing, but it's not it's not complex. It's not overly complex.
And yet it's
either.
universal.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Yep.
we have that saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words may never hurt me. And yet we all
But
know.
is that true?
Right.
I mean,
we all know the experience of that, right?
yeah, yeah.
We've all been on the other side of that experience.
There's not, I doubt if there's one single person listening to us right now, and I'm including you and me in this, who have not had the experience in life of being hurt by somebody's words.
Yeah.
And sometimes that memory that stings us to this day happened 10, 20, 30, 40 plus years ago.
Right.
That's how powerful our words are.
Right.
Yeah.
And they become our inner worlds as well, our
Yeah.
inner words.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, that those words that we say to ourselves then become so important.
Right. And, and we don't even think about, we don't think about our thinking.
And
We
it's-
don't think about the words we say to ourselves.
Right. And, the urging is also, to be careful what you say to your children
Yep.
because that becomes their inner voice.
Right.
Quite often.
Right.
It's not the exact, but most of it is coming from the people around them at the time.
Well, we're certainly, let's put it this way, we are certainly inviting them to
Be more aware.
to build their world on the things that we, that we're offering to
The words
them.
that we give
The
them.
words that we
That's
give
right.
them. And so it's extremely important for us to be mindful, to be very mindful as we speak to the people that we love the most. That starts with us.
Yes.
That starts
Be
with
yourself.
because, your primary relationship is with yourself. But then there are many people you love in the world, a spouse, a partner, your kids, your parents, your good friends. Be very, very conscious of words. Words have power. We're talking about that today here on Strategies for Living. We'll come back and do more. Stay with us.
Hi, this is Jay Merle for Pintail Roofing. Let's talk about quality. When you hire Pintail to build your roof, here's what you can expect. Quality and quality control are the most important concerns for us at Pintail, and you need to know that Pintail stands tall with swift and professional performance on any warranty call. This is our most important policy. And remember, we're your neighbors. We'll be here for you for the long haul. Our family's lived here for over 100 years, and we aren't going anywhere. On the commercial side of Pintail's business, our fluid-applied roofing solutions can save thousands of dollars over conventional commercial roofing options. Call Pintail at 226-ROOF for a free inspection of your home or commercial building. That's 226-7663. Pintail Roofing. What's the condition of your roof?
And welcome back. Welcome back into Strategies for Living here on 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Lauren Leon McMillan, David McMillan, talking about the power of words today. It's all we have.
It is.
It's only words, and words are all I have to steal your heart away. The Bee Gees from back from back in my day. Yeah, and the song was called Words.
Yeah.
It's only words, and words are all I have to steal your heart away or take your heart away. I forget which one exactly, but it's one of those. You get the idea anyway.
I do.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the sentence.
And so we think words are so simple.
We throw them around, don't we?
We throw them around, and yet, we need to stop, all of us, every single one of us needs to stop and think how powerful our words can be. And particularly in this time now, we've got an uphill battle. We've got a challenging time ahead.
And it starts with each one of us.
And it does.
Yeah.
You can't point the finger out to anybody else.
Without
If you do,
without three pointing
you've got
back.
3 fingers pointing back at you, and that's a
right.
reminder of what needs to happen. Okay, we're strategies for living. So we've been talking about all of this.
Yeah.
Let's give some strategies.
solutions
Yeah, let's
going.
give some possible.
Okay.
These are possibilities, right?
Okay, yeah. Be creative with it.
Keeping custody of your tongue. Keeping
Okay.
custody of it's simple. This is not an easy practice, but it's a simple practice. It comes out of the Benedictine monastic tradition.
All right.
Okay, and it is particularly useful when closed up in the monastery. The monks are just it's just them, right?
Right.
And when winter drags on,
And you
right?
stuck around the same people
And
all the time.
you're around the same people and you're doing the same thing day after day, and it's cold and it's hard. Life is harsh, right?
Yeah, those monkeys are getting agitated. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So but irritability levels rise.
Right.
Then especially then that Benedictine tradition says keep custody of your tongue.
So in other words, hold your tongue.
Hold
Is it
your
the
tongue.
Same,
Yeah.
same ideology.
Yeah. Rami Shapiro, who has been a life strategist
Yeah.
in Hasidic tales, wrote that the Baal Shem Tov, the founder of Hasidism, said that a person is born with a fixed number of words to speak in his or her lifetime. When that count is reached, the person dies.
Okay.
All right. So this is kind of interesting to think about. So here's the practice. The next time you criticize someone, the next time you engage in gossip or utter any negative and hurtful words,
Is that where
Ask
you want
your-
to spend your energy?
well, here's the question.
Okay. I got ahead of
Ask
myself.
yourself, are these words worth dying for?
Ooh.
Because according to the tradition,
Yeah.
every single person has a certain number of words in their life to speak. And when those words are up, whatever that number is, you're done. So
It's an interesting perspective.
it's an interesting perspective when you stop and think about it, count your words and ask yourself when you're thinking about criticizing someone, gossiping about somebody, or uttering anything negative or hurtful, ask yourself, are these words worth dying for? Now, that's a strategy, isn't it?
I would also ask, is this the sort of energy that I want to be putting out into the world? Is this the kind of world that I want to create?
Yeah.
Because there's also the idea that, what you're creating is going to come back to you.
Yep.
The idea that you're living in your world first and foremost. So if you are, using your words to create negativity or wreak havoc for others, so you are for yourself.
Yeah. We've mentioned Jesus. We mentioned Jesus a lot in this program, because whatever you believe, whatever you might believe,
Pretty smart dude,
Jesus
I think.
is, will be. One thing I think we can all agree on is his words have stuck around.
Yes, they have.
And his words have. There's an example of words matter, right?
Yes, that's true.
And so I'm thinking about, what do you do? How do you respond to someone who is irate with you, who is in disagreement with you, right? One of the things that Jesus talked about was turn the other cheek.
Yes.
And sometimes we think about that.
And we think it
as-
means let yourself be abused.
Right.
Right.
And-
to absorb.
And I don't think
And
that's
it's not
what
that at
I
all.
don't think that's at all what Jesus was talking about. I think he was metaphysically asking us to consider who are we? Where is our power? Where is our power residing? In turning the other cheek, that is in some ways helping us to keep the power within ourselves. What do I mean by that? There's so much reactivity. So if I slap you, if I reach over and slap you, it might be just without even a thought, you slap me back. Okay?
Yeah.
That's reactivity. But if I slap you and you turn the other cheek, then that gives you the at least opportunity to decide what's the appropriate response.
Gives you a second to pause and
Yeah.
think about what just happened and how do I want to
How do I want to
respond to that?
respond? A second, a minute, whatever
Right,
it is.
right.
But,
Take your time.
But the key is now, instead of giving your power away,
Yeah.
Ask yourself, do I want to strike that person who struck me? Well, no, I don't. But yet that's what I'm doing if I react and reactively strike back. Jesus was inviting us by turning the other cheek. Saying turn the other cheek is to look where our power is residing.
Yeah.
That's a powerful thing.
It is.
Yeah. And we could go on and on
Yeah,
here.
we could. 'Cause
Yeah. But I think we've given some pretty doggone good strategies so far.
I think so. Another thing when someone insults you, I think, is to remind yourself of the true words that you believe. If someone says something counter to what you believe, say it back to yourself, what you believe in your head.
Yeah.
Use your words.
Use your words.
Yeah. And you don't have to say it aloud to them. You don't have to counteract.
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
remind yourself.
Remind yourself of where you are
Yeah.
and what
I'm
your
here.
thoughts-
I'm safe.
Yeah.
I'm loved and whole.
Words have power. Words have a tremendous amount of power. We got an uphill battle in the next weeks and months. How are we going to use our words? What are we going to do?
We've got a climb, not a battle.
Yeah. Each one of us gets to decide, how we climb. We'll be back. You're going to see the difference. When you go to Azalea Cleaners, you'll hear about it too. Azalea Cleaners has been fine dry cleaning since 1958, plus laundry, alterations and repairs, comforters, wedding gown cleaning and restoration. You'll hear about it from your friends because they'll see it too. They'll notice the Azalea difference. Azalea is convenient. 732 Azalea Drive, 9220 Ellerby Road, and 9227 Mansfield Road. Plus, the front door of your home or business with Azalea's delivery on demand. Just text SETUP to 249-8283, and Azalea will pick up your clothes and deliver them back clean and fresh to you. You can't get closer than that. That's the Azalea difference. You'll notice it right away. Others will too. The Azalea difference. Fine dry cleaning since 1958. Text SETUP to 249-8283 and get the Azalea difference. AzaleaCleaners.com. And welcome back. Welcome back into 1017 FM, 710 Keel. Welcome back into Strategies for Living. Lauren Leon McMillan, David McMillan. I mentioned earlier the Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh. He's a Vietnamese Buddhist monk. Wrote prolifically during his lifetime. And one of the things that he wrote was a book called The Heart of the Buddhist Teaching. Mm-hmm. And in that book, there's a short verse that he offers to, he's talking about right speech, the idea of right speech.
Okay.
And he says, he says, every time you pick up the telephone, repeat these words. Mm-hmm. The words are, words can travel thousands of miles. May my words create mutual understanding and love. May they be as beautiful as gems, as lovely as flowers. Isn't that neat?
That is neat.
Yeah. So that's the idea. The idea to remember that, words matter.
Yes, they do.
And
they echo across time and space.
They're powerful.
They matter.
And,
And they create our world.
it's very easy. Words are so simple. We learn words, we begin to learn words
Pretty early.
pretty early, People get real excited on our first words, don't they?
Yes, they do.
So, tune into your words because,
And be a little more conscious
Yeah.
about what you want to create.
it's an uphill climb that we've got in front of us. So there you go. Lauren, thank you.
Thank you.
And folks, thank you. We appreciate you being a part of Strategies for Living with us. And we certainly appreciate our sponsors making it all possible. The Robinson Film Center, and Azalea Cleaners, and Pintail Roofing,
Roof, roof.
and Learning RX, and Empress Cannabis with Love, and the Shreveport Little Theater. If today were the last day of your life, you only had one more phone call that you could make, who is it that you'd call? And what is it that you'd say? And why are you waiting? Make the call. For Lauren Leon McMillan, I'm David McMillan. We'll see you next time right here on Strategies for Living.